Okay, so this is Mr. Baker here talking about how to use Desmos for those of you guys working on the project. Again, this is the resource that we said would be very helpful for y'all for graphing a lot of functions, seeing what those would look like, making domain restrictions and all that kind of stuff to help you make your artsy picture that you want to make. So for example, you pull up Desmos and you get something that looks like this. There's many different functions that you can do. But let's start with something basic. You can just type in your y here. You can either click or you can type it on the keyboard, equals. Let's try just a basic parabola. So you type in x, and then you can square it using this little a squared thing. Boom, you got a parabola. Now you can create other functions by clicking down where it says 2 and 3, and as you keep clicking on more functions, it'll make more functions for you by clicking down over here. So now I create 3, 4, so on and so forth. I'm going to go with 4 examples for right now. So another one that I can do is, let's just say I typed in something also basic, just a simple linear equation. How about 2x plus 5? Okay. You can create domain restrictions if you would like to make something piecewise or at least cut out a portion on your graph in order to restrict what it would look like. Maybe you are drawing some kind of line that you are getting artsy with, but you want it to stop at a certain point. How about where it reaches -2 here? Okay, so I want this line to go all the way up until I get to -2. You can create that restriction by using this open curly bracket, making an inequality. So you want x to be less than, and you can also use the less than where the comma is on your keyboard, 2. And, oh, that's +2, so I want to make it -2, so I put a little minus sign in front. And notice it stops now at -2, right here. So this is a way to create more piecewise functions if you would like. I mean, there's multiple kinds of functions that you can make, though. This is a linear and a parabola. Let's say we do something a little bit different. How about a, I don't know, how about a cubic function? Now notice they have a square here, but they don't have anything for a cubic. Like on your calculator, you have a little cube symbol that you can go in the math, hit the math button to go to, but here you don't. So to make a cubic function, what we're going to do is we're going to start with our y equals x, and for when it hits this little b button, it's going to create a little upper portion like you would to type in an exponent. From there you can type in any number of power functions that we've talked about. So there's x cubed, x to the 4th power. Remember, it's getting skinnier for those of you guys remember from power functions, x to the 5th. So on and so forth. You can also do rational functions if you would like, or square root functions. Notice the square root sign here. If you would like to do a square root function, use this radical here to help you out. This square root of x plus 5, we know that shifts left 5. There's an idea of what that would look like. Again, you can do a domain restriction if you would like as well. But I would click on the outside of the radical before you do that, so it doesn't do anything weird. If I would like to restrict the domain to greater than 0, how about I do greater than 0? Notice it's now after the y-axis. Now, how about an example of a rational function? What I would do to use rational functions is make sure you use parentheses to signify your numerator and denominator. So how about 5 divided by, notice it created a bar so you can type things in your denominator, x plus 2. We can also delete some of these other functions to look just solely at that function. So how about I clear up some space here so we can look at just that rational function. Notice I just hit the x. Now we can see quite clearly this inverse variation function that we've seen before, a type of rational function. We can identify here my y-intercept, and you can also find your corner points by tracing along. Now for those of you guys, last example, for those of you guys who want to do cubic functions and exponential functions, 2 quick more. Let's try an exponential function first. Let's try 2 to the x. You would do the same thing that you would do before when we were raising something to some random exponent. Hit this a to the b button. Now, instead, for your exponent, type in x. Notice now we have an exponential function. And the last one if we want to do a cubic, they only give us a square root. You can go to more to find a cube root here. Also absolute value. You can use less than and equal to or greater than or equal to signify different types of piecewise functions. You have that closed circle. But I can do a cube root by using this cube root button. Notice it now shifted left 7, and I have that S-shaped curve that you would see for a cube root function. I hope that's helped you guys out. Remember, you can close out of these. You can restrict the domain using your brackets. And you can form new functions by clicking for more spaces here. All right?